Fear not, citizens. Hope has arrived because we are back with more My Hero Academia. I'm your host for this episode, Hawk's Wingman, the novice cinephile himself, Michael Thomas. Joining me, as always, is my hero squad, my wingman, Isaac Wolf, and Endeavor's tasty right arm, Brandon Alvarado. I was not prepared for that one, my friend. I was not prepared for that one.
I strive for perfection in the right seasonings.
Jeez. Guys, if you didn't know, this is the Amateur Otaku podcast where we cover everything, and I mean everything in the world of My Hero Academia, including this latest chapter, 354. So if you're not caught up with the My Hero Academia manga, this is your spoiler warning. Aside from whatever's happening in Brandon's username, Oopsie Daisy is the name of this chapter. Isaac, catch your breath, man, because I need your help reviewing this chapter. Okay, you hear?
I have catch my breath.
Okay. Oh man. Of course, written by Koei Horikoshi. This picks up where we left off. You know, the last chapter was called Endeavor. And so this one being called Oopsie Daisy is just hilarious. The comedic timing that Horikoshi has. Impeccable. Impeccable.
Yes.
In this chapter, we meet up with the pros as they're fighting all for one, and we hear that they have a genius plan. So their plan is to attack his mask. Something that I feel like everybody on Earth knew would be their go-to move. Am I wrong about that? Did everybody think it was a weakness?
I mean, you know what? You know what's interesting though, is that isn't that kind of what All Might went for, and he still barely beat him back in Camino.
I mean, he did break it, and that is when he beat him. I don't know if that was his goal.
But you got to think about it. He did break the mask, but he didn't take him down. Like he kind of knocked him down enough so he can get incarcerated, but he didn't take him down though.
That's gonna be a question I have until the end of time: is why didn't All Might just finish him off right there at Camino? I feel like one more smash would have done it, and
You
he held
mean
back.
finish him off as in killing him?
Yes,
I think
everything goes back to that scene, right?
Well, actually, they even reference it in this chapter. And now, before we jump into a lot more of All for One stuff and Camino and stuff,
Yeah.
Can we appreciate the fact that All for One has a quirk per finger?
Yes.
Like they teased it during the end of the last chapter, and the fact that you kind of see that here is like, what is going on? It's
perfect because he's got that parallel processing that Endeavor taught Deku about.
Yeah.
So many chapters ago.
Yes. It's like his hand is his utility belt. Yeah. It's awesome.
It's great. But yeah, so their plan is to attack his mask. We have Hawks detailing the plan. Gotta love Hawks. Always ahead of the game here.
Yeah.
It's interesting how we have a bit of information of him having like prosthetic wings, or feathers, I should say, which is crazy. And that just shows how much damage Dobby did to Hawks so many chapters ago. We're going to see that animated this year, which is really cool. But that is a lot of damage. And so it's kind of cool seeing the number 1 and the number 2 go after All for One. And it's very clever how they have the smallest team imaginable take on All for One just in case he steals their quirks.
Yep.
I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, that they're taking everything into account.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
For sure. Also, it shows that if he steals Endeavor's quirk, the heroes don't think it's, game over. Whereas if he steals Deku's, the universe is going to crumble.
Yes, because you got to think about it. If he steals Deku, he's stealing 8 quirks.
Yeah.
Which is and it's 8 super powered quirks, because I think that's the whole thing. All for One amplifies every single quirk that it inherits from all the users. So none of those quirks are anywhere near the same power level that they were when they came into contact with where they came into contact with One for All originally. So this is an evolved version. Like this is an evolved version of One for All that is even that is millions of times more powerful than whenever All for One gave it to his brother.
You
So
also have to think about it's boosting those quirks, right? But will it
right.
boost every single quirk All for One has?
I think that's kind of. I would wonder maybe that's the point,
Yeah,
because the reason One for All has grown is not it's because of the amount of users. Like it kind of multiplies every time it goes to a different body. I would assume. So, like All for One said, he thinks about millions of paths to the same place. Maybe that's what his plan all along.
yeah, he's got to unlock the true ending.
Yeah,
Um,
unlock the true ending.
Isaac, I have a
That
question.
sounds like a platinum trophy.
Right,
His
you're gonna get
face
that little
looks like a
ding.
platinum trophy.
It does.
Yo.
Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, I had a question for you, buddy. We were kind of talking about everything happening with the Todoroki family, and we've talked before about the various mind games that All for One likes to play. It's no surprise that he's going after Endeavor mentally as opposed to really challenging him physically.
Yep.
But do you think it's something that he can overcome, or is this going to be his downfall? Endeavor.
I mean, the wound he's giving makes me even more certain that he's gonna die.
You mean the one wound where I don't know, he eats Endeavor's tasty right arm? Is that
Yeah, exactly.
that is a powerful scene though. And the fact that All for One has the balls to go oopsie daisy when he eats the arm. It's actually, it's priceless. It's just priceless. It's great.
It's so demented. I love it.
Yeah.
This
You know
is where
what?
Isaac would say Horikoshi would be great at a horror manga.
I mean, he would.
And by the way, what the hell is that quirk? Where
What Kirk are you talking about?
the fact that where his arm becomes a Pokemon.
Page
Like-
10, man, when he eats the right arm.
No, but yeah. But it makes me think. But what I love about, and I think, let me think. So in reality, we've only seen all we know from All for One, like all that we really know, is experiences that we've seen other people tell about him. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like when you think about it, we've rarely spent one-on-one time with All for One. So one of the things that I like about the chapter is the fact that the level was not level the damn it is that the word I'm gonna use? How level-headed he is, how he never loses his cool, makes him such an awesome villain in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like he's not overly excited, he's just chill. Like it's kind of like and Isaac will understand this. It's kind of like I don't know why, but I keep coming back to this character a lot. He reminds me a lot of Grimjow. When you take away the
How do you?
when you take away when you take away the over excitement that Grimjow always has, the idea of Grimjow always enjoying the fact that he's on top of the situation. You know what I mean? Like whenever
I think that is a bit stretching, but at the same time, can see what you're talking about.
I just can't think of another character that makes me think like this. But like, you have this character that like is so sure of himself that nothing phases him. You know, and I don't know. I enjoy that in a villain, so I kind of enjoy that in All for One.
All for One, it's interesting because he's everything. He's kind of a mix of like a Lex Luthor type character. He's got unlimited power, which allows him to kind of
unlimited.
Yeah, It allows him to kind of go off the rails a bit and be
Yeah.
playful enough to say something like "Oopsie Daisy"
Yeah.
to the number one hero as he just destroys his
Yo.
right arm. It reminds me of kind of like the Green Goblin in a sense, where there's a
Yes.
level of craziness there, but Norman Osborn's still one of the smartest characters in the Marvel universe.
Right. Right.
And so that's my Western comics brain comparison for all for
Well,
one.
I got one worse for you. I got a worse comparison for you.
Worse, oh boy.
I have a feeling that whenever he finally goes toe to toe with Deku, there's gonna be a meme where All for One goes, Deku, the boy who lived, come to die. Avada Kedavra.
Oh jeez.
Yes, it's gonna happen,
I could
and it's gonna be
honestly
amazing.
see that.
So
And also,
Where's Deku, by the way?
he's still
also-
trying to get to Kachan, I think.
But we haven't seen him in like 3 chapters.
Also, he is going to also add Deku, I'm your father.
Ah, damn it.
Nope.
No, not gonna happen.
We already
Can't.
had an episode about that. Go watch it. Isaac Linkett. It's hilarious.
I can
But-
do that.
No.
But considering how much of a Star Wars fan he is, I wouldn't be surprised. So I was half serious now. For just to clarify.
I mean, when you think about it, he did just cut off Endeavor's arm. What if he's Endeavor's father?
Dun dun dun.
Nah.
Yeah, you see? I mean, because he's old enough to where he can be any character's father. That's the
Yes.
scary part.
Yes.
He can be like, I'm your. What if he's Deku's grandfather? That's a twist that I can actually live with.
Get ready for the spin-off, All for One Sperm Bank, the issues.
Good grief.
What is it with us and going off the rails?
You guys laid the seeds. I just
No. No, no. I'm taking as the host of this episode. I'm taking control back, and I'm not letting that one spin out.
So
I mean, we have done worse in My Hero Academia Vigilantes episode, all things
Because
considered.
it called for it. Dang it! This one didn't call for it.
okay, so let's stop watering the plants. And
Okay.
how about we talk about the real superstars of the chapter?
Can we also agree? I think it's so funny that it's not me that going off rails like that.
I'm
It's
sorry.
Brandon.
I just saw an opportunity. There's I don't know. So, and I mean, no, but again, let's go back to the chapter. I'm sorry. I apologize. Now, the superstars of the chapter, of course, were not Hawks, and it wasn't Endeavor's tasty right arm. But the arrival of Earphone Jack, and
Tsukuyomi.
it was awesome. That was and the upgraded suit for Earphone Jack, and that was awesome. I was not expecting them. It makes perfect sense because of Tsukuyomi and Hawk's relationship, right?
Yep.
But I was not expecting this.
It's
It's
such
great.
a great play because
Yep.
we don't like. By all accounts, they're like B or C tier Class A characters.
Yep.
And to have them come into the aid of the top two heroes, the top two heroes. I want everybody to remember that.
Yep.
This is 1 and 2 going against the biggest baddie in history. It's amazing. It's such a great moment. I want to get back to that just a second though, because I want to focus a little bit more on Hawks. Just kind of like his inner monologue, right? Him understanding Endeavor. And he's like, that's why again, Hawks is like the perfect wingman ever.
Yes.
Because by all accounts, and this is what I love about his character. This is what I love about his character is that he is a support character by all accounts, right?
Mhm.
Like we see the fighters, we see the rescue heroes. He's definitely support in every instance. He's either doing his spy espionage stuff with the Meta Liberation Army, or he's supporting Endeavor. And I
Right.
just love how he's able to analyze and deduce what's going on with Endeavor trying to figure out best path to victory. What does he need to do to get Endeavor back on his game so he can knock this villain out?
Yep.
And I love how it starts to break down, and then you introduce his wingman and Tokoyami and Jiro, which is again the craziest combination of
Yes.
characters because they don't even work together.
Yes.
Like that's such a weird pairing. You would think it would be Tokoyami and Kaminari or something like that, but no, that's not really what happens. And I love
Well,
it.
well, it's funny that you say that because you kind of have the two heavy metal characters together, because that's kind of the vibe, you
Yeah,
know, like you have the heavy metal Dark Angel, whatever it is, and then you have the rock star, right? But
the
going back,
band. They're literally the band.
yes, the boys are back in town.
The lead guitarist. It's hilarious.
Yes. Now before we focus on them and the advancements that we see them do, can we take a minute and kind of see that Hawks is kind of built like a ninja?
Yes.
And I didn't really appreciate that before till I saw him with the two katanas because he doesn't have enough wings to do it. So the fact that he has two katanas and he's able to do what he does is actually pretty awesome. I didn't expect that doing that before. And when you were talking about him working as a support, it's like I didn't see it before till now. Like Hawks is being Night Eye to All Might, to Endeavor's All Might.
Essentially, yeah.
And
He's the perfect
yeah,
example of a
yeah,
sidekick, right? He's literally
exactly,
kicking him into shape.
exactly. And doing everything he can so that the hero that they're supporting can be the greatest hero. Which I think it's great to see because in a lot of places, like for example, in a lot of animes, the support system is kind of put to the side, and most of the big battles are exclusively between that main hero or that main character against all the villains. You know what I mean? Like to a point that One Punch Man makes it hilarious because you have all the other heroes struggling with the monsters, and Saitama comes and just punches once and kills them. You know what I mean? Like it's something that's always been made fun of, but I like how Horikoshi finds ways to balance it and give them an actual role that makes sense, as opposed to just sitting in the sideline because the big hero is blowing stuff up. Does that make sense?
For sure.
It's great.
Isaac, what are your
For sure.
thoughts, man?
I don't really know what to say about that. More since this just shows parallels between Night and All Might, and like I said just a minute ago, and I think if Leo were here, he would agree with me. Endeavor is I'm more certain than ever that Endeavor is gonna die.
Personally, I don't agree with that. I feel that his story ends with him retiring because he can no longer be a hero.
The All
Like,
Might treatment.
yeah, like the arm thing, the way his pride was hurt, like he, because if you think about it, and I'm just speculating, but when you look at Todoroki's victory that was celebrated last chapter, right?
Yeah.
It kind of sets up the idea or like the feel that Todoroki was able to accomplish what his dad couldn't. So I can easily see him taking over Endeavor's agency and bringing honor back to that family. And Endeavor just being like an advisor or whatever, mainly because of the loss of his arm, but also like letting his son be what he couldn't, but in a way that he feels atonement. Does that make sense? Like I got a feeling that the only reason he's in this battle is because he has no choice. But I don't see a world where he continues being number one just because he's the strongest. I think he learns to live in the shadows and support the future. So I don't think he dies. I don't think it makes sense. And I don't think he dies without Todoroki being in the same place. If he were to die.
That's my thing. Like, I don't think he's dying anytime soon. I'm not ruling out the possibility that he dies at all, but I don't know if you guys remember, but Dobby he has regen right now, and he's coming back to life shortly.
Yeah, there was a comment in the latest episode that pretty much mentioned it, that it looks like he is regenerating.
Yeah. So I would pause on the Endeavor's going to die talk for right now, simply because I don't see him dying until whatever happens with Dobby is resolved.
True.
Also, we got another comment about that from the last episode. Midnight didn't die by getting scorched by Gigantomania. The villain with the skull mask killed her, apparently.
No, he died fighting against Temecula.
Huh. I
What-
can't confirm
What guy?
that.
What guy with the skull mask?
Like the
It's
gas
the-
mask villain or whatever.
Yeah, the previous we're talking.
Oh
about the
no, but
previous
remember that all happened during the Gigantomachia side of the battle.
For what it's worth, and I'm not saying that the commenter's wrong. I'm actually inclined to believe them there. But for what it's worth, we were so focused on Gigantomachia in that fight. I can totally
True.
see it. And all we
True.
saw was Midnight's mask. I can totally see us not paying attention to that. That was over a
Yeah.
year ago. I can't confirm or deny anything. So I'm inclined to believe what they said.
True.
But yeah, I can totally see, just as the type of reader I am, I can totally see my emotions just not paying attention to what actually happened in that panel.
And just
So,
crying
I
about the
gotcha.
fact that she's gone.
I know, right? Like, it's our only female teacher besides 13. It was a bummer.
I mean, we'll have someone like Mirio taking over.
Doesn't really matter now. The series is about to end anyway. But
See, you had to go and do that. Damn it, Mike.
thanks everyone for your comments. It means a lot. We are
Yes,
reading them.
it is
and any
awesome.
corrections, just let us know. We'll catch you on the next one.
Especially on me. I never know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just an arm. So
Oh my goodness. but yeah, it's interesting. Also seeing though how All for One his quirks are different from Shigaraki, which they made a point of. He doesn't have like super regen, which I thought
Right.
was really interesting. So that's cool. But two, he's kind of just toying with them because let's be real, they are putting up the same fight All Might was putting up in Camino.
yes.
He should have squashed him by now. He's just kind of playing
Yes.
along, seeing where this is gonna go, and that's to me is the scariest part of the entire chapter. And I
Mhm.
feel like if you guys turn your Bibles to page 15, no, I'm kidding, but you turn to like the final page, and we have this triumphant picture of Jiro kind of sassing All for One. First off, he calls them flies that swarm around One for All, which is just hilarious. This My Hero Academia is surprisingly funny, you guys. But on the last page, you see the terror in Hawks' eyes. And I think that's because he realizes this isn't good. We're still doomed. They came to help, but Endeavor is down. I don't have hardly any feathers. This is not the cream of the crop from Class A. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So-
like he can see where all this can go wrong.
Right. Especially after the last time he and Tokoyami fought a villain and he lost all of his feathers to Dobby. Dobby, the worst member of the League of Villains.
Yeah. But also I think I have a feeling is I think it would be pointless to have them appear here just for them to be fodder for All for One.
I mean, he straight up says that, right? He
That's
calls
what
them
and
Dobby.
that's what he says. But at the same time, are we pushing All for One or are we pushing Shigaraki? Or is this one of those situations you haven't seen my final form? Like do they find a way to beat him, and by beating him he takes complete control of Shigaraki's body? And of course leaning into the whole thing about Deku wanting to save Shigaraki.
That's the thing. Do we is it narratively satisfying for All for One to lose to Endeavor, Hawks, Earphone
No.
Jack, and Tsukuyo? That's my point, right?
No,
what has
it's
to
it's
happen?
not. It's not. So, but at the same time, does he get him out of the way permanently in that way? Does he kill them? I don't think. Maybe Endeavor goes down, but I don't think they all go down. I think there has to be what I wanted to happen is him, like, all for one getting bored and transporting to where Shigaraki is.
He's just like, I'm done now.
Which, when you think about it, it would make sense that all for one only stayed there to take down Endeavor.
Yeah.
And then he just goes to the next place. Because all he wants is XYZ. And we already know that he's kind of in control of Shigaraki's body anyway. So even this particular body that has a bunch of quirks, that is deteriorating, that is only being supported by this mask, we know that the whole thing was to take Shigaraki. So it's like, we know Shigaraki's going to be the main villain. So, you know what I mean? I kind of...
Shigaraki get Sasuke? Is he able to break free and kill the master, or is he going to just be the vessel? That's the thing.
Well, here's the thing, though. That would be interesting because it's funny you say that because there is kind of like a all-for-one Orochimaru kind of thing.
Yeah.
Another calling to the Naruto reference here.
You know, it's a good thing you don't treat it... Anyway, sorry. Isaac, it's a good thing it's not like a swear jar where we have to pay every time we mention Naruto, because I'm going to be real, man.
We're not supposed to? Damn it.
We'd be broke.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like Orochimaru.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. What I kind of feel, even though I appreciate how much we are highlighting all these different characters, I personally, and I want to know how you guys feel. Was the Todoroki and Dabi fight amazing? Hell yeah, it was. But I'm starting to feel a little bit of fatigue where, like, okay, it's been 7 chapters since we've seen Shigaraki against Bakugo. Deku's running. I mean, can we go back there and find out what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm starting to get some fatigue. Like, we're kind of, like, going somewhere where we're getting action, but not the action that I want to see.
It's the problem with My Hero Academia in general, though, right? Is that we've been, and I think I'm with you. We're in a perpetual state of war, where this is our second war in as many years.
Yeah.
And before that, Deku was on the run, and he was alone, and like all that stuff is cool. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. The Star and Stripe stuff, all that happened. But yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like this is where you introduce part 2 of My Hero Academia, the hypothetical part 2 of the first war ends.
Shippuden,
exactly. But like the first war ends, the villains take over, the heroes have to regroup. That should have been the end of the series, and then you have them regrouping, and you have some smaller stories from there on, and then it's like, okay, we're launching our second attack.
Yeah.
But that should have been like next year where the second phase happens, because again, like it didn't feel like there was a break between the first war and this war. And so it's just like we're waiting for Deku to fight Shigaraki again. I don't know what's going to be much different this time, but we have to get through the Dabi stuff, and it's fatigue. And I just think it's because we're in a state of war all the time in the series, which is why Isaac and I keep saying Vigilantes, if you guys are following along with us, was a breath of fresh air, because it's way lower stakes. And that's, again, I keep mentioning on this show, My Hero Academia works because it's part slice of life, part battle shonen, and we've just been all in on the battle stuff to where it's kind of, I wouldn't say lost its identity, but it doesn't quite feel like the My Hero we fell in love with.
Which I actually kind of think that's kind of why I appreciated last chapter to a degree, because it was kind of like a, let's celebrate the victory, right?
It was a breather, yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, can we just go back to who we want to see?
Right, like where is Deku?
No, not even that. I mean, is Bakugo still fighting for his life? Because there's a bunch of hands finding him.
Yeah.
Like we left Bakugo in like the worst state. Like they're all fighting Shigaraki by themselves in the sky, and he's using a lot of hands. That's a lot of hands. There's not even enough lotion for all those hands, but he's using all those hands. I said hands a lot,
It
but
lost all meaning.
yes, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because we get a glimpse that he's happy that Todoroki won, and then you get the zoom out and you see all the hands, and you're like, oh yeah, this is still going on.
Yeah,
What's going on?
yeah, and again, I've said this numerous times is that my hero, and this is a fault, and also the biggest compliment I can give to Horikoshi. He makes so many fantastic characters. Like Bakugo can lead his own series.
Yep.
Lemillion can lead his own series, and they're supporting.
Where's Lemillion?
Right. But it's like he created so many characters, and
Yeah.
we're invested in all of them. Like we're not
Yeah.
saying we don't like this chapter with Hawks and Endeavor,
Right.
but now it becomes a
Right.
pacing issue of Deku's been gone for 7 chapters in his own
Yep.
series. Like not a glimpse of Midoriya.
Yep.
That's weird because there's too many of them, and he has to
Yeah.
resolve all of their plot
Yeah.
lines before we
Yeah.
get to the end.
See, this is the kind of thing that I would wonder. Maybe this is the kind of situation where wouldn't it be great if they adopted a Western model of comic book writing, where you have your main story that comes out monthly, and then if you want to know where everyone's doing, that's what the tie-ins are for. And I have a feeling that because it's manga, everything's just mainline, but it would have benefited from that tie-in approach because you can go to the additional stories that you want to go and read just the main story as it publishes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Like Shoto, the keeping up with the Todorokis can be its own
Yes.
tie-in manga by
Right.
itself.
Right. And it's like one of those things like it's like we're forced to read the tie-ins. And I think that's what it's hurting the story right now. That we're being forced to read the tie-ins.
Yep. Isaac, where are you at, man?
I honestly like the tie-ins because, like Mike said, there is the characters is strong enough to cover their own shows or series and all that jazz. Sure, Deku is the quote-unquote main attraction of this show, but it would just be wrong to just focusing on Deku and instead. So I feel like it's the maybe I'm alone in this, but I think that it's the right move to actually give other one some screen time because if he did just have Deku on that, we would just say we want to see XYZ. Why can't we see that? I mean, Mike and I spoke, was it 2 videos ago, about how we wanted to see Shoto getting to the new power that he just briefly talked about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and totally. That again, that's why I say it's Horikoshi's blessing and curse, because I'm invested in every single one of these characters. Let me remind you guys of that fact: is that I want to see what happens with Endeavor and Hawks right now.
Yes. Me
But
too.
it's like Brandon said, though, it's that 7 chapters. That's almost 2 months without our main character. It's kind of weird. You know, that's where it becomes an issue with the pacing of the story. Because yes, I want to see Shoto learn that power, but I also understand at the way Horikoshi's structuring it, it would have made sense to fit it in there. That's
Yeah.
why I feel like the anime has the benefit of doing OVAs, doing movies, doing filler episodes that's kind of serve as that tie-in feel. Because like the movies are kind of just tie-ins. They're canon, but they're not. Like we have David and Melissa who are canon characters, and we have Star and Stripe be connected to All Might through the movie, but that doesn't play any significant role in this story. So we have that, which is great. It just again makes the flow choppy, if that makes sense. Kind of like Stranger Things. Not a major spoiler for this latest season, but that cast is massive, and there are some episodes where it's like we don't cut to a certain storyline, and it makes the flow of that season kind of feel off. Not that any of it's boring; it's just the flow of the story is chopped up so much because there's 20 characters that they need to keep track of, and so it makes it not as smooth of a transition as you'd like, if that makes sense.
So
I can
much
understand
truth.
you guys.
So much truth in this tasty right arm.
Jeez, that is like I don't like the chain chop arm. That's just I want you guys' opinions on All for One because I have some thoughts on this character. Power wise, is all like his potential is so vast, but it feels like we give him some of the lamest quirks sometimes. Am I the only one who's kind of underwhelmed by the utilization of All for One's quirks? Because he can have, we don't even know what all of his powers are, so we never see it coming.
Well, I think that's kind of the point, though. I kind of like. I think what I enjoy about this character the most, apart from his demeanor, like I mentioned before, is the fact that we don't know how much he has in his pocket, and the fact that his fingers, in one hand, he's handling multiple quirks. And think about this: we haven't seen his other hand. That same hand where he was handling 5 quirks, that's the same hand that ate Endeavor's tasty right arm. I'm gonna plug my name wherever I can. But that's like, I like the fact that there's this mystery of like, not only that, um, the son of a bitch is floating, so the guy can fly. like,
Yeah,
like, have we paid attention to that?
I
You know what
guess
I mean?
my thing is because I hear what you're saying and I agree. I guess let me rephrase my question: are his quirks boring? That's what I mean. It's like it's
I
usually him
think.
having a giant gross arm, and that's it for a guy who can have any quirk possible.
Well, I think
Honestly,
that's the point
honestly,
because
I think just he's using them as a toying, and when as soon as he's more than likely
yes,
fighting Deku, he's just okay. I'm gonna go all out because he knows
yes.
that Deku is more of a threat than, let's say, Endeavor.
So let me rephrase it again. I'm not just talking about in this scenario. I'm talking about throughout the entire series. Like even fighting All Might, again, he has a gross arm. Whoop de doo. He loses that fight. So I assume he went all out against All Might. But it's like I want to see like some Professor X level like nonsense from this character. I want to see mind games. I want to see lasers. It's just I have a gross arm. That's my thing.
Well,
Yeah,
but you got to.
but let's remember he wanted to be captured. He knew that he would be captured.
And
He
exactly.
he clearly stated that, so he more than likely he just honestly because he knew that All Might were in the condition he was.
Yeah,
I
I.
dare argue that he, he is just playing them and just acting like, oh, he only has this stuff. I
Mm.
wouldn't be so shocked if he has more up the sleeve as soon as he's fighting Deku.
Yeah, I have a feeling that that's the point. Like the whole thing about All for One, because you got to think about it. I think you're right because he really hasn't shown off anything impressive, anything that we haven't seen before or that we should be surprised about, right? But when you think about it, he makes up on that on how much of a mastermind he is and how much in control of everything he is. Because you got to think about it. He knew that All Might was in his last amount of power. So I got a feeling that he made All Might go all out, not only to be captured like he wanted, but also to know that he finally was able to take All Might off the board. That's one. Two, he's been in control of everything from the beginning to the point that he planted someone in UA, which, again, crazy. The whole thing with Shigaraki, crazy. But at the same time, the whole the interesting quirk because the man that is All for One, like I said, to me, I love his demeanor and what he projects and how he is. I want to see more of him animated and hear him talk and whatever. But also, the whole thing quirk wise, the point is that he has an unlimited supply of quirks, not that he has the most fancy quirks, or at least we've only seen these. We don't know what else he has.
Yeah, it's just interesting in comparison to Izuku. Deku's quirks, I feel like, are 1,000 times more interesting than anything we've seen from All for One.
True.
And that's
True.
all I mean. It's like visually, I just, for a character who has the potential to have any quirk, we've seen Sun Eater's quirk, we've seen all these different types of powers, and his is again just giant ugly fist. I'm gonna punch you, rah.
Well, you know what's interesting though? Well, he did throw some interesting, I don't know, like flying beams or something. Like he did, like the first attack that he does reminds you of like Berserker Slash from Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of that. So he does have lasers. No, but what I was gonna say is, but I think that's the point of the whole All for One and One for All debacle. Think about this: All for One is able to collect as many quirks as he wants, but he cannot improve the quirks. One for All improves them, and
Yeah.
that's why he wants it. Because One for All has the power to modify and evolve the quirks. All for One cannot do that within his body. So what if he's just stuck with a bunch of basic quirks that he can get to an extent, and that's part of the reason why he needs One for All back?
True. Very true. It's just an interesting question because
It is. No, it is. It is. Because
Because you also-
I never thought about it till you mentioned it.
Yeah, because you also look at, and I'm glad that the series acknowledged it. You see, when we first meet All for One, and we think he kills Best Genus, and he knocks out Mount Lady and the Pussycats. He grabs Best Genus and he straight up says, "Your quirk isn't a match for Tomura," and he throws Best Genus to the ground,
Yep.
essentially. And so he's very selective.
Yep.
Not only about what he takes, but what he thinks is the best fit for Shigaraki.
Well, isn't that the one that in that he just steals one? He just steals Search from the Pussycat. That's the only thing he takes, right?
Yeah, he takes ragdolls and he leaves the rest.
Yeah. So
And
it's
so
like
he's very deliberate. That's why
Yep.
I posed the question, because it's like Horikoshi's doing that intentionally. But why? Can we get to the root of why he wants this specific batch of quirks?
Do you imagine if they find Gigantomachia and he takes the quirk and he becomes Godzilla?
It is game over.
And then it becomes like the ending of Moon Knight. It becomes My Hero Power Rangers.
That Moon Knight finale was
Yes.
ridiculous.
It was awesome.
So great. But guys, was there anything else on chapter 354, aka Oopsie Daisy, that you wanted to cover?
I love the joy that you just go, oopsie daisy. Do you
No,
imagine?
not what I
Now
think
we
of.
have to do a voiceover for All for One. Hey, Endeavor, did you ever find Toya's body? Oopsie daisy.
I
Oh.
can't wait for the anime.
Yes. All for One is my drunk uncle.
Unky. Oh, jeez. Anything else on Oopsie Daisy, guys? Isaac, anything?
Not that what I can think of.
Okay.
It's awesome.
I think that calls it, guys. It's always fun talking My Hero Academia with you all. It's a blast. And those listening, let us know in the comments any of your thoughts, theories. Even if we get something wrong, we love to hear from you.
Tell us.
Tell us, and follow us on Twitter at Amateur Otaku Pod. We have so many fun conversations, memes, all that jazz there. The Punster Hero, where can people find you, my man?
Well, you can find my work at Volume Entertainment, and you can find me on Emblemaniac on Twitter. And you can find the pod at the Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter, and you can find all our other stuff that's not my hero, the weekly anime and manga related on every place with except for Podbean, if you prefer that. The stuff like My Hero, Doron, and Spy X Family is YouTube exclusive.
I love the beef we have with Podbean. It is so random. It's hilarious.
Yes.
I don't get it.
No, it's just every episode you're like, we're not on Podbean. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they have. They have an issue with anime, I guess. They don't like great stories. Endeavor's right arm, since you're no longer attached to the number one hero, where can people find you?
You can find me inside of All for One's grotesque dragon-shaped arm. And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on TikTok, even though I have no idea what I'm doing there. And you can find us also, you can find me also at the Shatter After podcast on the Nova Silent File Network, where we talk awesome movies and shows every 2 weeks.
Woo-hoo. So much fun. This next episode is Vengeance. It's about the Batman. You're going to love it. Guys, you can find me at Novice Cinephile everywhere. Like Brandon just said, youtube.com/Novice Cinephile. You can find so many videos. A lot of My Hero Academia videos, now that I think about it, on that
Mucho.
channel. So subscribe there to get My Hero content, to get our other movie content, fun times. You guys could be my wingman any day. Until next time, go beyond. Plus Ultra.
Digest the arm.